Oh, her ear isn't in there anymore. Um, I'm Janie from Messages from Heaven by Janie on YouTube. I can also be reached at um, Spirits by Janie at gmail.com. Um, this is the story of my last job. I've always been a painter, and I went to a wonderful school, the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and I had a good, well, I missed some, but I had a good education in art. And after that, I continued school and I worked. Um, my last job was in Center City, Philadelphia, and it was a place that had a lot of political workers. So they had come in um, through politics, and uh, some were weren't they? How do I put it? Some of them really enjoyed their job and did it. Some people were still working as technicians. They weren't. They hadn't taken the tests yet, and might not be able to. When I was allowed to come in, they were trying to get college educated people in the department. It had been a department where the the people who worked there were all men, and they used to take the information for the job away for the whole summer. Wherever they went, they took the information, so no one could do anything without them during the summer. When I came in, it was the job was going through a transition, and people could no longer do that. There were some people holdovers, but they were leaving. Um, the Some of the men used to go out. There was a day when we all had to be in, and some of them would go to the Reading terminal, drink for lunch, come back, and have a good time. Their girlfriends, they were married, but their girlfriends would come after 5 o'clock, and that was really common. They would have parties, and well, I liked the guy who was actually the head of the department at that time. The boss was good to me. I had lupus when I came on, and he took it into consideration and tried to be as good to me as he could. Um, there were The weird thing about it was that, well, people were getting their children into that department. I don't know how they did it. I didn't. I mean, if I had asked, I'm sure they wouldn't have told me the truth. It was something that I assume was political, but it had to be more than just political because it I mean, I knew a lot of the political people. There were people who went from that department into being mayor. That happened. There was one person who went from being there as a clerk. She went from there to being the head of one of the big departments. And being a clerk was nothing. I mean, it was not a meal, believe me. And a lot of them, well, when I first came in, they would come in, say hello, and leave. Um, then the boss put his foot down, and they couldn't leave. They had to stay for the day. Um, it was news to me. I wasn't used to that, but whatever. Um, I had, I mean, a lot of people took bribes. I should say this is for entertainment purposes only. And it seemed to me that a lot of people took bribes. I know one guy was caught after I left, after I retired. He was caught taking a bribe. That particular guy used to come in shorts. He didn't bother to wear like office type clothes. Um, but that wasn't. I had a boss at one point who used to ride a motorcycle in, and I don't think he brought it upstairs, but he didn't wear deodorant, so he smelled bad. And would wear a leather jacket, and I don't think he wore a shirt. I think he put on a shirt in the office. I mean, we had some wild things. A woman hit me. Um, I was given, well, she and I and somebody else were given this room that was in between walkways, so people could walk through, um, and we could work and answer the phone and stuff. And with her, I happened to be listening to music with earphones, and I wasn't even thinking. I was singing along with Mary, Mary Mo and Jack. I don't know. I was singing along. I shouldn't have been because I have a terrible voice. So she came over and started yelling at me, and I got up with her, and she was like right in front of me and yelling, and she started yelling about Jews, and she was yelling about what makes Jews any better than anybody else. And at the time, and pushing me. And at the time, I couldn't tell her what, I mean, nothing. Jews are just people like anybody else. Um, we're taught to be kind and to take, they call it tzedakah, which is give money to the poor or disabled. And we're taught to do that. Yes, there are people who are horrible who are Jews. I mean, they're people, they're human, and they fall for human foibles, things that they turn out to be awful people. Um, but Jews tend to encourage education uh, and thought. It's just the way we are because of all the things that all the prejudice that we've gone through. That's really the way to ensure that your kids will live if they study and they learn and they become something. Um, okay, so she pushed me and somebody came in and said, "What's going on?" And we both turned around and I don't know what we said. And the other person left, and I reported what went on, and she was never even asked about it. The woman who pushed me, she lied and she said that she didn't do anything. The woman who came in refused to tell me what she saw, and after that, I refused to talk to her because I mean, you saw what was going on, and then you decided you didn't want to say anything. Well, screw you. Um, okay. Uh, After that, eventually, I was placed in a different office, and I didn't have any more problems. Um, my cousin used to come down every week, take me out to lunch. We were very close anyway, and then he would come up every other Saturday. Taught Brian, my son, to drive and lots of stuff. So I ended up having a problem with lupus when years before I was supposed to retire. Yeah, I was only 58, and I expected to go until I was at least 64. 62 something, and I couldn't. By the time I could have worked more, it's probably almost a year, you know. So um, after about a year, we did move down to Delaware. But I want to say that that department was one where I used to get calls because the what's his name? I can't remember his name. There were politicians who wanted favors, and we had to find a reason to lower something for somebody because of the politicians. And of course, the people were coming in through, I don't know what means. One of those people who was coming in through, I don't know what means, was the son of a couple who he had worked there, got his wife in, I don't know how, and then they got their son in, and he is the head of the department now. How? I don't know. I have no way. I don't know. The guy who used to be the administrator got himself on the board. Now, one of the dopiest guys that I worked with was put on the board, maybe as a joke, and he was pushed off eventually. They were insulted by his being put on the board, but I don't know why, because um, there were, it was all relatives of politicians. So, anyhow, that was the job, and I really wanted to move the hell out of Philadelphia after that. I just was so disgusted in Pennsylvania. I had met someone who was the assistant to some Republican uh, state senator. Scumbag. Just a scumbag. And, eh, like, what? This is what we elect? Um, I wanted to get out of there. I don't know how. Well, my feeling about Philadelphia is that it's a very corrupt city. It's a really old city. And when everything went down about, I can't think of her name, in Atlanta, because she hired her boyfriend, paid him more, and had him as her assistant or the head of the whatever, the investigators. I thought, oh my God, doesn't she know about Philadelphia? Doesn't she know that that's gonna, people will, I mean, unless you really cover it up, it's going to be found out. I can't tell you how many legislators from Philadelphia went to jail during my lifetime. People I would never think of as being dishonest. Gray was one. Oh, tons. The woman who was she the Attorney General of Pennsylvania? I mean, so many. They're so corrupt. You just nick the surface a little bit, and you come up with 20 of them. So I really was surprised that she would be that open, that stupid. Just if you are a legislator, study Philadelphia. I don't know if any other place is as corrupt. It's disgusting. Same thing goes with the school district, school board. It's all corrupt. It's all horrible. I hope you're listening in Ohio and not Philadelphia. So I will listen to this later and make sure that I haven't said anything that's really bad. It's for entertainment purposes only. It's my memory. And, politics is pretty disgusting. Yeah, I think I liked Biden. I mean, he's clean. And I think that Harris is clean because she's a district attorney. And I think Shapiro is clean. I think my old administrator was clean. He did know enough to be on the board. Do I think the guy who's heading that department now is clean? When his parents were working one after the other in the department. I saw stuff that I thought was really disgusting. I still see it. I see people who forget it. I mean, when I read articles on that department and I see the names of people who were schleppers. Schleppers means like if somebody pulling things, but it also means somebody who's kind of down and out and not, not a big shot. Maybe somebody who isn't really bright. That's a schlepper. And I saw schleppers being were now officers and stuff. I'm like, ooh, what? So it's nice to be here in Delaware, and I wish I would never have to go back to live in Philly. Not that I don't like Philly as a city. I'm a Philadelphia person, but I'm a Philadelphia artist who believe in right. I really believe in right and being honest and telling the truth. A lot of people don't. All right. Thank you for watching. And if you have a comment, write it here. Please push buttons. It helps me and it won't do anything to you. And my email is spiritsbyjanie at gmail.com. Thanks. Thank you. I'm going to go listen to my lectures. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye bye now. End stream. End.